This is the Rhpk Cup, a friendly and highly competitive pro kart endurance series based at Rye House, just north of London. Presented by Rhpk, the opening round sees a capacity grid of 36 teams running in two classes: Super Pro for the top teams and Clubman for those with less experience. 2017 marks the 20th anniversary of the first Rhpk race, and since then the series has gone from strength to strength.
This year especially, we've had so much uptake in the teams that we've had. We've got some works teams as well. We've got some people that have been doing it for years. It's been phenomenal. So yes, it's just real close competitive racing at both classes, so Super and Clubman, for everyone to have a real good race for the championship, which is becoming even more popular now.
Each season, the Rhpk Cup features a series of 4-hour team endurance races, and last year it was the helicopter services team that took the title in Supers.
There's a lot more karts this year, which makes the competition more exciting. Definitely, you got to work harder, and then just overall, well, we're hoping for the best this year, but it's definitely going to be the hardest season yet.
Led by bespoke fishing rod maker Chris Orme, the custom rods team were runners-up in 2016, with ABA Racing third.
Hopefully we'll be gunning for pole today. We've been doing quite a bit of pre-season testing and it's been going well, and we look like we're on the pace in practice, so quali's in a minute and hopefully we'll be up there.
As last year's Clubman's champions, Team Amigos have been promoted to the Super Division for 2017.
The Super Pros is very, very quick. You've got to be the setup absolutely spot on. You've got to get it absolutely right in terms of changeovers, your fuel stops, be fast, consistent and stay out of trouble. Absolutely, yeah.
One of the series stalwarts is Jeff Lamb, who oversees 3 teams within this increasingly competitive arena.
With the standard, the top drivers here at the circuit already from the last few years, a fantastic level of driving. Some of these drivers could be driving at the highest levels of motorsport, and that goes all the way through the grid to some of the guys who turn up each week. They know they're not going to win, but they're here to enjoy themselves, they're here to have fun, and that's what it's about.
The SJ Lambo team features the driver pairing of Rhianna Porcox and Stephanie Lutteridge.
I think out of all the different championships I've done, this is the most friendly championship. I've never been anywhere and everyone just comes up to this team. Because Polish Lambo do all the cooking, so everyone feels quite centred, and it's just so important to have good teammates because they support you. They support you on track, off track, with the car, everything. So these guys have been amazing. They have really welcomed me in, welcomed Rhianna in. They've made me feel right at home.
That's what Rhpk is. I mean, that's our real focus on trying to get everyone talking. People have made real friends from it, and being able to look forward to something every single month, to make those relationships, to make those bonds with people is great.
There is a fantastic paddock here, and anybody here will come along and help if there's a problem.
Already today I've borrowed some items. We borrowed a seat from another team. I've just let somebody borrow some track rod ends. We're constantly borrowing and sharing stuff just to make sure we get on the grid and we can race. And then we square it all up at the end of the day.
Round 1 of this year's championship is being sponsored by Hertfordshire-based concrete specialist Rhpk.
We know a couple of people who race here, so we decided to put some money back in the local community. Places like this wouldn't survive without sponsorship and support from local businesses, and likewise, obviously we get something back out of it, so it's a good deal for everyone. I'm really impressed with, the commitment that people have got, what they put into the racing and put into the teams. Excellent, really is, really good.
A 30-minute qualifying session would determine the starting grid for the race, and it was ABA who set the fastest time of the session with a 41.836 second lap. But it was close. Helicopter services just 1/100th of a second slower, with a time of 41.846 seconds, and set to join them on the front row of the grid. Just 24 thousandths of a second adrift of helicopter services was the HRS1 team. In turn, custom rods were just 58 thousandths of a second behind them in 4th place. And on their Super Pro class debut, the Amigos team qualified 5th with an almost identical time. The top 5 covered by just 59 thousandths of a second. The fastest qualifiers in the clubman's class were Polish Lambo, with a time of 42.573 seconds, quick enough to put them 13th overall, 1 place ahead of KA Racing, while debutants March Racing completed the top 3 in clubman's and would line up 15th on the grid. So here's confirmation of the qualifying times and those top 20 positions on the grid. Before the main event got underway, there was a pair of 25-minute races for one of Rye House's own Arrive and Drive hire kart championships, the Rhpk Cup. Stefanos Antonio dominated them both, with Thomas Lukis second and Mike March coming home third ahead of his Rhpk debut. Race 2 saw Jack Blois and Rhpk Radon joining Antonio on the podium after a tight scrap for second. At Rhpk events, a special guest is always invited to put on some demo laps and act as the pace car for the race start. For round 1, Rye House welcomed back former series competitor Ben Green in his 150-mile-an-hour Ginetta G55. Ben is now in his 2nd season as a frontrunner in the Ginetta GT4 Super Cup.
Raced here for 2 years in the clubman class and in the Super Pro class as well, in Super Green Racing. You learn all your basic racecraft and advanced as well, how to drive on different tyres, wet, dry, racing lines, all the basics you learn, and then you can just transition that into cars. It's a hard jump, and you can start off either going from karting to club level car racing or go straight to national. If you haven't got the access to the sponsors, then look at club level racing, and it's a great place to start, and you can move up to national as well. We're looking to go for the championship this year. The aim is to win this year. I had a good season last year learning, had a good winter season racing in Dubai and Portugal, and now I'm looking towards, looking to try and win the championship this year.
Let's hear from some of the drivers on the grid.
It's the first time we've driven a Haas kart. RPM kindly donated to us and with their engines as well, so a completely new learning curve for us today. So, to be honest, we were on pole at the start of the qualifying, and it's so close. There's only a tenth between the top 5, so we're pretty happy, and we're still going to be competitive to win the race today. So so we're happy where we are.
We're both getting used to the kart. It's a new kart for us, new series. To be near the front of the club is all we're aiming for, really, so we're happy with that. Everyone's friendly with each other, the racing's close, the racing's quick, and that's all the driver wants, really, to be able to race with other people that are competitive against them.
It's gone really badly. We've got one driver's had to go home, the other one got injured in a crash, and I'm the only one left, and I'm 62. So it's going to be an uphill struggle.
Coming up after the break, the race is on as we bring you highlights from round 1 of the Rhpk Cup. Welcome back to the Rhpk Cup, presented by Rhpk. 36 teams are on track and ready for the opening round of the series. You're right on board with Burton Power Racing, third in last year's clubman standings, but way back in 30th spot on this capacity 36 kart grid. As the race gets underway here, led by Pierce Pryor in number 3, ABA Racing. He gets the lead from pole position. Helicopter Services, driven by Ben Cook at the moment, he's into 2nd place. And number 2, Chris Orme for Custom Rods, getting into 3rd place ahead of the 14 kart of HRS1 for Danny Russell. Back on board with Burton Power on the way to the first hairpin. There's an accident ahead and a spin for 14 HRS. That's Danny Russell, who started in 3rd spot. You ride on board with Nick Griggs, who's having to come back from a very poor qualifying session for Burton, but look, he's getting stuck into business already. That's him making a move on number 34 NMA Racing. And look at this, wheel to wheel with number 58 HRS2, driven by Matt Atkins as they make their way through Complex Nouvelle for the first time in the race. Just ahead, APL Racing, number 56, driven at the moment by Adam Lynch. Again, it's wheel to wheel through the last corner as the leaders make their way into Stadium Bend on the start of lap number 2. Back on board with Nick Griggs for Burton Power, down the inside this time on the way to Stadium. He's just about going to squeeze through and gain that place. And then look at this, RPM1, number 17, going for 2nd place and getting through down the inside at the hairpin. So down to 3rd place for Helicopter Services, back on board with Nick Griggs, charging his way up through the field here. He gains more places on the way down into the hairpin. That's ahead now of the 56 kart of APL Racing. Look at them all coming through here in this hugely packed midfield as they all try to gain positions. And he's going to go for another place here. That's up the inside of Silverline Racing, number 33. Great move on the way into Pylon Bend. Back to the leaders, ABA still lead from pole position, RPM 1 from 6th to 2nd, Helicopter Services in 3rd place, and there, number 18, RPM 2. After a good start, Custom Rods, number 2, have slipped back to 7th, number 4, JRH just behind, then it's the Clubman leaders, KA Racing, up from 18th to 10th place already, number 17, Jan, right behind them, number 32, Polish Lambo, Philip Lip, who is 2nd in the Clubman class and goes down the inside on the way to the infield hairpin. It's tight, it's a squeeze, but he's just about going to get through here. 3rd in the Clubman's class is 59 Amigos 2, Jack Goldsmith, so they're all in and around the top 10, these top 3 in the Clubman's division. Just behind as well, number 8, Lambo Racing, who've gone from 24th up to 13th. Terrific stuff from them. ABA Racing, the onboard camera with the race leaders. You've got 4 for the lead of the race now. Piers Pryor is going to have a busy stint by the looks of things as he makes his way once more on the way into turn 1, Stadium Bend. Look at the speed they take, just clipping the curb there. Double apex corner and then accelerating through the left-hander at Reggie's elbow. Right in his tail, it's the RPM 1 kart. Helicopter Services still there in 3rd place. Tiny gap back, but not much of one to the RPM 2 team. And then 19 Titan Motorsport are 5th, and a challenge for the lead here. RPM 1 up the inside, they both go out wide. Helicopter Services in the number 1 kart, draw alongside. Here's the view from ABA Racing. It's RPM sneaking through at Pylon Bend. Helicopter goes 2nd, and from 1st down to 3rd place. And the number 3 kart almost losing 3rd place on the way through the S's. Back onto the start, finish straight, a little bit wide over the curbs here for the 3rd place kart. And here comes number 18, Lewis Cannon for RPM 2. Down the inside into Stadium Bend, and the pole sitters, the former race leaders, in the blink of an eye have gone from 1st down to 4th place. So Charlie Bingham for RPM 1 now in the lead of the race. Helicopter Services right behind still in 2nd place. We look back now from Burton Power, and this is the recovering number 14 kart driven by Danny Russell, the HRS1 kart down the inside at the infield hairpin, and closing up already to number 35, the Team CET kart. Russell down the inside, and that's back up to 25th place now, recovering from that early spin on lap number 1. 30 laps into the race, and it's still absolutely nose to tail between these two. Number 17 RPM 1 lead from number 1 Helicopter Services. Number 18 RPM 2 are in 2nd place, working their way through traffic on board with ABA as they try and get 3rd place. Back out wide for number 18, so Lewis Cannon will lose 3rd position, and it's up to 8th place now for KA Racing. Number 36 the Clubman leaders, just behind the number 2 Custom Rods. Just outside the top 10, number 8 Jeff Lamb has come all the way up from 24th on the grid, just behind his 59 Amigos 2, who run 3rd in the Clubman's class. You can see the drivers and teams are able to communicate with one another through radio systems as well as pit boards. And some have already been in for unscheduled stops. HRS1 are well down the field now. Number 14, number 10 Karting magazine have been in because Matt England, the British karting champion, has a back injury that he's carrying. So they made an early stop, and an early stop as well for 22 Amigos because of a Brent track rod. Is 42, Team Irie also. They're 10th in the Clubman class and trying to chase down number 24, Derek May, who you'll remember, he's trying to drive the race solo after his teammates have all dropped out. It's a 4-hour race, it's going to be a tough order. And then 31, Nick Griggs for Burton Power, comes down the inside and splits the pair. So that's up to the top 20 now, and 10th in class for Burton Power after their difficult qualifying session. Whipping out of Stadium Bend, number 2 Custom Rods in 9th place, and now right on their tail, number 32 Polish Lambo into the top 10. That means they're the new Clubman's leaders. 36 KA Racing are in 11th place, 2nd in Clubman's now, and then it's the number 6 Focus Racing kart driven by Sean Simmons, and a spin for Custom Rods down at the hairpin. That's Chris Orm, who's going to lose a few places there as a result of that. So last year's championship runners-up not having a great start to the race. And there's a late-braking manoeuvre from number 57. That's SJ Lambo, Rihanna Porcox. Unfortunately, their team is 9 laps down. They had damage to the kart and had to go into the pits for repairs. But she's now flying and has got a lap back look on the number 53 kart of March Racing. Wherever you look, there are battles. That's 38, ZJ Racing being chased by 35, Team CET. Here are our leaders making their way through the traffic. Number 17, RPM 1. Number 1, Helicopter Services. We're starting to get ready now for the first round of pit stops as well. And back to the leaders as they make their way through the S's, and they've switched around, look, through the traffic. Helicopter Services are into the lead of the race for the first time in this 4-hour enduro. The first hour of the race is complete, and the front runners are approaching the 100 lap mark. There are the leaders of the Clubman's class, number 32, Polish Lambo. That's Philip Lip, still on board after a very good stint indeed. There is the number 38 kart, ZJ Racing. There you can see they come into the fueling bay. The driver that takes the kart in has to oversee that. There is the Polish Lambo second driver, Greg Paulick, who looks like he's ready to get in. Roy Grassi overseeing the 2 Team Amigos karts. So the fuel is topped up. The driver has to get back in. In this case, it's the second driver that then pushes him back through onto the dummy grid. And it's only once they're on the dummy grid that the drivers can then swap places and they go straight back out onto the track. On board with ABA, and Pierce Pryor has caught back up to Charlie Bingham in the battle for second place. Up to fourth in class and continuing to impress on their debut, March Racing, all the drivers having come from the Rhpk Cup, the corporate karting championship run here at Rye House. Up to fifth in class now from almost the back of the field, Nick Griggs for Burton Power, number 31. And this is back on board now with number 42, Team Irie also. They are up into the top 6 in class, but not far behind them, the number 40 kart of BMH. So those two split up by just a few tenths of a second as they make their way down into the hairpins. Back with ABA Racing in third place, right ahead the second place card of RPM1, which did lead for a number of laps, and a move down the inside on the way into Complex Nouvelle. That was terrific stuff to regain second place. More dramas, I'm afraid, for Karting Magazine, the team which was running in the top 10, and helicopter services are in, so the first of the leaders coming in. So that means that Ben Cook is going to hand over to John Igo now. There is the new second place card of ABA Racing number 3. There is RPM1, but they're going to stay out by the looks of things for at least another lap. Problems, I'm afraid, for number 19 going slowly there. Titan Motorsport, that kart was running well up in the top 5, but he's crawling along, and I'm afraid is, yes, destined for the pits. So not good news for them, I'm afraid. A change of driver then, and out goes John Igo for helicopter services for the second stint. There's Scott Stevens, who's with the number 56 team, APL Racing, running just outside the top 6 in the clubman's class. 8 SJ Lambo and 53 March Racing have both made their stops. They were running in the top 10. The 56 kart comes in, and this from second place is a very slick changeover for ABA Racing. Look, Pierce Pryor gets out, and without the kart even stopping, Andrew Bishop hops straight into the kart, and he's about to be pushed out. Helping with all of this is the third driver, Ben Bishop. Brilliant slick stop, and they're going to gain a lot of time as a result of that. They're certainly going to get out well in front of the number 18 RPM2 kart, which was not that far behind them before the pit stops. They too have already made their driver change. Here's another change. Now, this is a team that's doing really well. It's a new team. They've got some experience of racing in this series, but it's a newly formed team. JND Racing. Lee Kemp's getting out. Jonas Zukas is getting in. And that team is battling for a top 3 now in the Clubman's Classic, on from 22nd up to 11th place. But there's dramas, I'm afraid, for Neptune Motorsport in with mechanical problems. Right, before the pit stops, the gap from helicopter services to ABA was just under 12 seconds. After the pit stops, it's come down to less than 4 seconds. So very slick stop from ABA Racing. What's the secret to their success?
Well, yeah, I don't want to give too much away to the competition, but no, we've done a bit of practice over the winter with our driver change. Basically, we've come up with a way that we can save quite a few seconds. So yeah, we've just kind of been honing it more and more, and it seems to work well. I think, you know, we did kind of like take a good few seconds out of the leaders for our first stop. So hopefully we can repeat that in the second one, and then I can make up a bit of time.
RPM1 have had an excellent second stint. They've gone ahead of both ABA and helicopter services. So Austin Monday leads. Helicopter services in second. They come in now, so Ben Cook will have a fairly lengthy third and final stint. ABA Racing down to third spot. And fourth place, fighting their way back after an excellent second stint from Steve Aldridge, is Custom Rods. Mark Beaumont, the series coordinator, will get in for the third and final stint. Here's number 53, March Racing. They're doing really well. They're in a battle for the lead of the class now. On board with Jonas Zukas, who is in the JND Racing kart. They are second in class, just ahead, number 19, Titan Motorsport, doing a really good job to fight their way back up to 6 after their problem earlier on. And this is for the change of lead, ahead of Polish Lambo, and into first place in the Clubman's class for JND. Fantastic stuff. So Burton Power are fourth in class, 59 there. Amigos 2 are fifth in the Clubman's class. And here, courtesy of Pelham Racing, a driver's eye perspective of what it's like to compete at high speed around Rye House as the light begins to fade and the floodlights come on for the final hour of the race. On board with KA Racing, the father and son pair of Keith and Adam Harrington were leading the Clubman's class early in the race. They've entered 10th now at the moment, but they're still having some ferocious battles. Just ahead are the team 9th in class, BMH, number 40. Bit of contact there on the way through the outfield hairpin. On board with the helmet cam, whizzing past is the race leader, number 17 RPM, and here through to lap both of them comes number 30. That's JAB Racing. They've had a fine drive through the field and are up into 5th place now in the Clubman's class. So there are your race leaders. RPM1, The only team still on the lead lap are Helicopter Services. There they are, number 1, and the gap is coming down. It's still only just over 12 seconds between them, and up into the top 3 Custom Rods, who fought their way back from at one point being at the tail end of the top 10. Down in 4th place, ABA Racing, the former race leaders, and still running well in 5th position. It's the number 18 kart of RPM2. Adam Willis now on board for the final part of the race after Lewis Cannon double stinted earlier on. 4 laps down on the leaders, but running well and completing the top 6 in the Super Pro class are number 19 Titan Motorsport. And from 18th place up to 7th, Team Jam, kart number 7, Scott and Michael Lee, the former Clubman's champions. And yet another change of lead in a highly competitive Clubman's class. Number 53 March Racing into 10th place overall and on course for victory in their first ever Rhpk K1 event. Second in the class, JND Racing. Likewise, they are a newly formed team. And third in the Clubman's class, Polish Lambo. They were on course for a victory, but they had an unscheduled late pit stop, and it's put them down to third in the category. There's a move from number 41, Artifacts. They are gaining a lap back on Burton Power, number 31, who've come from 30th up to 13th place and 4th in the Clubman's class. And right at the end of the 4-hour race, drama for Evolution Racing, gesticulating at something at that, a loose wheel which has come off the kart, and he's heading across the track. But here is the checkered flag, and the win in the opening round of the 2017 Rhpk Cup goes to RPM1. And in the Clubman's class, a fantastic debut and victory for March Racing. RPM1 take victory by less than 10 seconds after 4 hours of racing. Helicopter Services and Custom Rods complete the podium, followed by ABA, RPM2, Titan, Team Jam, JRH and Lambo, and Clubman class winners March Racing.
337 laps in total, 9.8 seconds clear in the lead, RPM1.
To win by 10 seconds over 4 hours is just unbelievable. The competition's really good, and anything can happen. There's 36 cars on the grid. You could be at the front or you could be knocked off. Anything can happen. It's going to be a good season.
We've learned a lot today. Pit stops, could have improved on that. Yeah, it's a good learning curve for the start of the season.
With the grid we've got today, we thought sort of top 7 would be a good result for us. So for us today, feels like a win really. So very happy.
This is only our 3rd event, so we're pretty green to the whole situation, the racing around here. Our expectations were low, but we've been struggling for pace over the last couple of days in testing. But like I say, today, got a new set of tyres on and we flew.
Feel very good. Like we had a bit of troubles qualifying. We only qualified 8. And came back to snatch 2nd place, so I'm very, very happy.
A terrific way to start the series. Hope you enjoyed the coverage, and we'll be back with our 2nd Rhpk Cup event later in the season.